If you find yourself throwing together emails last minute or feeling overwhelmed by your long form content, then I hope to see you on December 4th for my live workshop, Email GPS. We'll be mapping out 90 days of content in 90 minutes so you know exactly what content to create to reach your business goals. When you purchase a ticket by November 19th, you'll get access to the live workshop plus lifetime access to the replay for just $32. Head to the show notes to grab your ticket.
The holidays are a crazy season, especially when you're a business owner. From holiday shopping to fitting work in around time off, you might be questioning your sanity.
Today, we're talking with system and productivity expert Janice Cook. She's sharing systems and tips for managing the busy holiday season so you can get work done and enjoy your time off.
Janice is a music teacher turned TPT seller turned virtual support provider. She spends her day taking the chaos out of her clients' business life so that they can clock out with confidence.
Janice loves to talk about project management, productivity, and podcasting, so slide into her DMs anytime to talk business. You deserve to spend your CEO time on tasks that you love. That's the path to making an impact for teachers and students.
Being an online business owner is full of ups and downs. Some days you can't imagine going back to your 9-to-5, and other days you want to burn your whole business to the ground. We get it.
Welcome to Chaos to Conversions, a podcast of practical, no BS strategies to grow your online business. Each week, we're chatting about launching, copywriting, mindset, and more, so you can make sense of the chaos and do more of what works.
Join the conversation and let's grow together.
Welcome back to Chaos to Conversions. Like we mentioned, we have a special guest today, Janice. And Janice is kind of like the connoisseur of all things productivity and getting your systems together, basically getting your life together. And we love that because we know like our podcast is literally called Chaos to Conversions because both Melanie and I can be a little chaotic. So we're happy to bring Janice on and help make our lives a little less chaotic. So we want to kick things off because obviously when this episode is coming out, we're all in the midst of holiday season. There's like Thanksgiving coming up, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Christmas, whatever else you celebrate in your life. And the holidays are just generally a very stressful time, especially if you're a business owner. So what is the first system that you recommend putting in place to stay on top of your to-do list instead of getting buried under it during this holiday season?
I think this is a time where your memories, like you really have to make a plan for future me when you're in the thick of it. So when your first holiday season is not going the way you want it to, you have to like capture those emotions and like write down like, here's what didn't go well. I did not want to be working on this on Christmas Eve. I did not want to be saying no to this event because I didn't set this up properly. You have to, it's sometimes hard once the holidays pass, you get that amnesia about how it went. You really have to capture all the feels that first time it doesn't go well and be like, I'm here to learn the lesson. Why is this happening? What did I do wrong? And how can I make sure it never happens again? So that's where this comes from. But the first system you need to put in place is knowing your capacity. And that's something that's important all 12 months of the year. But if you're like skating on thin ice with your capacity, the holidays are when you get humbled, right? You get it handed to you because you were holding on tight. And then weeks of the year just disappear from the calendar. And you're like, whoa, okay. So I think really understanding your capacity and specifically what that means is how many hours do I actually have to work each day? And the part that people miss is how long does each task realistically take? Not like, I hope I can write a month of blog posts in an hour. Yeah, but like, have you ever written a month of blog posts in an hour? No, you haven't. So like, that's not going to work. So like, you have to really have awareness, and that comes from time tracking, which no one wants to do. But you have to know, like, how long does it usually take me to write one email? How long does it usually take me to batch out a month of content? And you have to be really realistic about the time is just the time. How much time do you actually have? And I think from the education side of things, we're really good at backwards planning. I think the holidays are the perfect time to plan backwards because you have to put the time-bound things on your calendar first to make sure they get a spot, the things that can only be done at showtime. And then you might notice that it doesn't all fit. So you have to work backwards. Can some of this be batched ahead? Can some of this be pushed into the new year? What actually has to happen? Because it might not all fit, but you can't do anything about it if you don't know like how much time is in the container and
Mhm.
how long all of those dreams and wishes on your task list actually take.
I actually am really happy you said that because I talk about this a lot with contemplating. I talk about this a lot with my clients that every season is different, but sometimes we don't adjust with the season. We're like, oh, well, I always write 6 emails a month and that's what I'm going to do. But it's like, okay, well, maybe this month you can only do 4. Maybe this quarter we reduce it and we just give our best to that 4 and that's okay. Like you're still doing something, you're still staying consistent. But whenever we stretch ourselves too far, that's when yeah, like you said, or like we're overflowing. We've gone past our capacity.
4 quality posts, not 6
Yes.
medium ones that Google's never going to care about.
Yeah, exactly. And I also love the time tracking. I started doing that this year. And it's amazing, first of all, how long something takes that you didn't realize. But B, I think most of us think that we have more time to actually like mental time to do something than we really do. Like you might be sitting at your desk for 5 or 6 hours, but we're not working for actually 5 or 6 hours, right? Like we take breaks, we get up, we go to the bathroom. After I've clocked like 4.5 of like actual active time, I have a headache. I'm like, I'm done. Like I'm over it. But I might be sitting there for a lot longer, taking Instagram breaks and things like that.
Well, and I think that's important to know. I feel like I have 2.5 really solid hours before
Yeah.
lunch and 2.5 really solid hours after lunch. And then I might as well just like cut my losses.
Yeah.
If it's after like 4 p.m., I should not be in anyone's business, including my own. There are very few things I can offer the world after 4 o'clock. And so me sitting at my desk for 3 more hours saying, I'm going to make this happen. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. I'm just wasting my time and frustrating myself. And you get to know yourself over time. Like this will take me 1 hour if I do it in the morning. It'll take me all weekend if I try to do it after my kids go to bed. And so you get a little savvier about which block to put certain types of tasks in for sure.
Capacity, my toxic trait. Always thinking and Janice knows, fun fact, Janice did my Asana build like a year and a half ago. I
Yeah,
think.
it was a little bit.
Yeah, and was always in my ear like, oh, okay, Melanie, you lovingly cannot do all of those things that you believe that you can do and in the amount of time you think you can do it. And she's right. And I feel like that happens to me all the time and all like text Branda sometimes because, we're just going to set up one quick funnel, but then like I have to duplicate the sales page and change the product price and hook it up to a different upsell for this time. So it always, for me, I feel like blocks of time as a service provider, like per client, has worked well for me in the last, I don't know, year and a half since Janice kicked my ass into gear.
Yeah, Melanie and I did a lot of problem solving about summer capacity, which is like a
Oh,
whole
Lord.
separate thing than the
Yeah.
holidays, but it's like all the same things apply. And I've shared this before with both of you, but I think one of the big aha moments for me as a business owner was realizing that I'm not lousy at tackling my to-do list. I actually was just really lousy at making a to-do list that actually stands a fighting chance. And that comes from not knowing like how long things actually take. And I think mental capacity is a part of this too. It's almost like a whole separate thing that's harder to handle. But like as I get older, like my brain just like, woo, I cannot like pull an all-nighter on the weekend and crunch out like 5 new TPT products with like the vigor that maybe I did in my like childless early 20s. Like I have to be really realistic. And I think that's part of what keeps me focused in the morning hours. I'm like, this is the best brain cell time I have in the day. So I don't have time to get distracted by Instagram or anything shiny or whatever. Like I'll chat with y'all at 4 o'clock when my brain's no longer working. But if I'm going to get 2 or 3 big rocks moved today, it's now or never. And that comes from being burned, right? Being burned in a holiday season or missing a deadline in the past and being like, okay, why did this happen? This to-do list was doomed from the start. Oh, I didn't realize that for a while.
Yeah.
So let's say we've done the things. We think we know our capacity, like we're actually feeling good about it. Like I am feeling good these days for the most part, if you were wondering. But let's just say things go sideways during a busy season. Things have gone sideways for me during the summer. Things often go sideways for people during the holidays. What's your like best tip for doing damage control to get your life back together if you skew from your plan or stray from your plan?
This is where the magic comes of like having a team member or a biz bestie that you can, we always give better advice to someone else in the other direction. So if I was giving myself advice as a biz bestie, I would be laser focused on what the actual glass balls are for that business.
Mhm.
So like for me, even if I'm on vacation, even if it's Christmas morning, even if I have the stomach flu, there's like 20 minutes in my business that's absolutely 365. And that's an inbox swipe to convince my brain that nothing's on fire, right? Like I didn't get hacked. My website isn't down. Like nothing's on fire. Like nobody like emptied my business bank account. My anxiety brain just needs that swipe before I can deep dive into anything and be present. I just need to know that nothing burned down last night, even if I'm traveling. And I need to know that no one on my team needs anything because I never want to be the bottleneck in my business. And so if I set myself 20 minutes with a timer, it rarely takes 20 minutes, right? Like a
Yeah.
lot of Christmas morning, nobody needs you. No one on my team would send me a message on Christmas morning or on Christmas Eve, but like I just check to make sure like everyone's got what they need from me. Well, great. Let's go open our stockings and now I can be present with my family. And then if a podcast client's launching a new show or there's a big coupon code that just went out to a huge email list and I have to make sure their website actually can like handle that influx of traffic. There are certain timely things that if I don't have eyes on this at a certain time, bad things will happen and I will regret it. So certainly pencil those in. I use that little clock emoji on my calendar. Like this actually has to happen on this day. This can't move. But my entire calendar doesn't have the clock emoji. Most things it's that concept of glass balls and rubber balls. And when you actually sit back and look at December, you're like, but how many glass balls like really are they? Like I have to be at my kid's winter concert. Got it. Right? Like I don't have to be the person who picks up my groceries on Friday. Like a lot of it is a lot more flexible than we think. And so I think in December, if all of your loved ones feel cared for and the glass balls didn't shatter, we all won this club cranium and I'll see you in the new year. And you will get a lot of the other things done. But I think it's easier to give yourself grace if you know what those musts were. And if you wake up for the day with a stomach bug and you look at your calendar and I don't see that little alarm clock emoji, nothing today is actually critical that has to be done today. Gosh, that's a feeling I wish I had when I was a teacher, right?
Right? Seriously.
Like all of these things can go somewhere else. Let me tell the people I am of no use to the world today. I see no alarm clock emojis. The world will keep spinning, right? We're not saving babies. No one's house is going to fall down. I'll see you tomorrow. I'm not good for the world today. So if you really sit back and look at December, there probably aren't that many absolutely mission critical things on there. And that makes it a lot easier to walk in the office in December.
I'm curious, could you say, like, we talked about the glass balls in our life, like you said, going to your kid's concert or picking up groceries. Well, it's not really a glass ball. Like you can have someone else do that. How would you recommend a business owner, though, prioritize? Because a lot of times when we look at our own businesses, we're like, well, all of this is important. I have to write that email. I have to, get into my inbox. How can someone figure out this is actually something I should prioritize versus I can push these things off so I'm not burning myself at all ends during this holiday season?
When you actually have that conversation, it almost ends up with a permission slip. Like, what's going to happen if I don't post 4 new products? What's going to happen if I don't kick out 4 new blog posts? And it's like, well, what is going to happen? Are you going to make instantly from those 4 new posts income that your family needs to eat in January? Like, that's not really how that works. Okay, well, let me untangle that from my brain. And the same with blog posts. If I send out these 4 blog posts specifically in December, is there some reason to believe that they perform astronomically better and it's impactful to my ability to feed my family in January? And when you actually ask those sticky questions, you're like, no, all of this is made up and the rules don't matter. And I'm making this a nightmare for myself. I'm the worst boss to me ever. And now you can make a more realistic plan. And for some people, that's going from 4 pieces of content to 2 in certain months and acknowledging that you're working 2 weeks instead of 4. So it only makes sense. Other people love to batch, and having a menu of choices is everything. You can either put out half as much content or you can do a busy push season before and kick out the same amount later. And then people are like, oh yeah, it's actually not that important. I don't want to batch out twice as much content. In October, maybe 2 blog posts is enough. maybe that TBT product will be just as good if I publish it in January.
Yeah.
You're just only one person. You only have so much time. So unless you
Right.
can like talk yourself through like why it has to happen in December for a specific ROI, like measurable data point, then like, I don't know. It's really hard to convince me to put things on my December calendar.
I think we also forget like everyone else is busy in the holidays.
Yeah.
Like they're probably also not wanting to read all 4 blog posts that we put out. I mean, maybe they do, but they also might be wanting to enjoy their own holiday time.
I, as a service provider, my people know I accept no fires in December. My calendar for December closes on like Halloween.
Yeah.
And by Halloween, I will have communicated to my people, like, here are how things are getting done. If your stuff's on my desk by this day, I do it in December. If it's not, I see you in January.
Yeah.
I accept no last minute. There are no Christmas Eve emergencies in any of the types of industries that I'm in. And my people know that. And they always start with like, I don't expect this to happen in December. Because they know like my December calendar is closed and it has been closed and it's been clearly communicated. I'm not here to surprise anyone. But if you're shopping for Halloween costumes in your house or you see Halloween decor in your neighborhood and you haven't communicated to people like what your plan is to survive November and December, well, now that makes me a little nervous, right? Because that's when we have the feelings and someone hopes that their inability to make their deadline, that you're going to save them at the last moment. And you just have to be on the same page. Like, what do we have to get done in December? Not much.
It's like that phrase, your urgency is not my emergency.
I should tattoo that somewhere on my body. That's a good one to have.
That does sound like a fun task. We should tackle that. I would love to support you with it. I can do that task on January 10th.
Yeah.
Well, I was hoping you would do it today. Yeah, weren't we all?
Yeah.
The day is closed. It's full. It has been closed for a while. Now booking in the new year. And honestly, now booking in the new year like everyone else in the world, right? Like everyone's booked. Everyone's full. So sometimes it's just about issuing that permission slip. And for people you work with too, being like, why are you staying up tonight and getting that done? Like, why can't that wait 2 weeks? Why not?
Yeah.
I mean, unless it's super seasonal-tastic or I mean, there's really no reason.
But if it was super seasonal and important, you could have
should have
prepped for it in advance, right?
Yeah.
It was a glass ball that you had. We're working backwards in this season.
So you've mentioned doing the inbox sweep and you've mentioned thinking like really specifically only about the metaphorical glass balls that are spiraling through the air in November and December. But is there anything else that you can think of that you do to kind of turn your business brain off and actually enjoy that holiday time? Because I, as a Enneagram 3 and hardcore type A, have trouble shutting the old pea brain down for... I mean, like, I'm not even trying to take the whole month of December off, but I mean, I would love to take the 2 weeks that my kids have off and like at least not think. I think too much. Janice, do you have tips for turning my poor little brain off?
We all love Alexis, right? Laugh, Eat, Learn. Alexis has this printable, editable calendar. I love the digital life. I do. I make digital calendars for lots of people. But she has a printable one that's editable in Canva. It's like, I don't know, it's like $12. It's such a deal. And I print them on cardstock. And I will tell you that I have all my goals for December are already on here. And so like, it's a race to the end of this metaphorical piece of paper. When everything on this piece of paper here, September, is highlighted, I'm done. September goes in the trash. I'm checking out, right? December, done and dusted. If it made it on this calendar because I had time for it and I picked out a day to do it, if I shop ahead and I finish my days early, I love it. But if everything on here gets highlighted, Merry Christmas to me. Your girl's out. See you in January. And so it's me against me, right? Like I can shop ahead. I can carry tasks forward if I need to do them on a weekend, whatever. But I have a really concrete list of everything that I've said yes to for the month. And it is just the race is on. The faster I get to the end, the more time I have for whatever I want. Baking cookies, going to see holiday lights, taking on another project in the back end of my own business, digital cleanup, whatever I want. Nobody cares. I got it all done. So that visual is really helpful for me. Do I use digital planning tools? Yes. I have a whole business that relies very heavily on popping in and out of everyone's digital-ish. But for my capacity, that's like my double check is Alexis's calendar. And so you'll see my December does not have a lot of space because I physically was like, no school, kids are home. Don't put things here. I have to do that for myself. I have to block it off to be like, my kid is home. I'm co-working. I can't put other people's stuff here. I'm at the gym. I already paid to be there. I can't put a task in that spot.
Yeah.
I'm not here. So it's just been really helpful for me because it kind of blocks me from writing something in that physical space and saying like, what if I'm going to set up a whole launch here? I have to actually say like, oh, where am I going to put it? And it's so frustrating.
Yeah.
Or when a dream client comes to you and says, I would love you to set up this, la, 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 la. I would too. I don't know. I could do it for you in 7 weeks. Like realistically, you have to think, how long is that going to take me? I don't
Yeah.
know. Not today.
That is
Right.
always the hardest though. It's like,
Yeah.
I think that's where I maybe get messed up with my own capacity. And I'm not going to lie. I've had this happen 3 times to me. It's like the world is tempting me, Janice. And
Yeah.
I've had 3 people reach out recently and I'm like, these projects sound so good. I just can't say no. And I look at my calendar and I'm like, I physically don't have the time.
And I've said it to Branda. I've said she's identified like a hole in my leaky bucket and a project we need to collaborate on together. I'm like, that sounds awesome. I think I could have the brain space for that in 5 months. And I know that doesn't sound like I'm so excited to take my money, but like I'll pay for it today.
Yeah.
But to actually show up and be helpful on this project, here's when I see space on my calendar. And it doesn't mean I don't love you. It's just like the reality of I should do that in 5 months.
Hey, I appreciate the honesty.
Hey.
We booked it for January. So I
Yeah.
was excited.
I just want to make sure I answer Melanie's question.
Oh,
I have to
you're
have a really concrete list for the month of what
Mhm.
needs to happen before the month is done.
You're all about productivity and finding capacity in your life, right? So that goes beyond just business, but also like not stretching yourself too thin in your personal life. And I know you share a lot of like meal prep stuff. I think on like Sundays or Saturdays, you'll post kind of the things you're meal prepping. And we were wondering if you had a system or some sort of hack that you swear by for keeping your holiday meals organized, especially when you're cooking for what feels like an army. If you have children, I feel like every day is like cooking for an army.
So cooking was a huge hobby for me before I ever got into business. Like I have binders of recipes that I will take to the grave that I will never get to try. I would read cookbooks more than like any other books. I am deep into the food world. But having children, that hobby has become very practical. So if this is going to be a hobby, well, that's good because I also have a budget for it. I seem to need to buy food again. And also, these darn kids need to be fed again. So I might as well enjoy the process. So yeah, meal prepping came to Instagram because everybody else is tapped out on Friday night too. And they're in the same, like, I have no brain cells left. How is my fridge empty? Why are we here again? Meal planning. And so I just started airplaning up to stories what I was going to make for the current week. And if that gives you like one recipe to get through the weekend, people are like, thank you so much. I will make that sandwich recipe. I think my kids will eat that. I'm going to bed.
Yeah.
We're just so tired by Friday. So I actually, in this season of life, I use Instagram for meal planning, which is very strange, but that's how my brain works. So I have all the food accounts on Instagram starred as favorites, and I can toggle up at the time of this recording. Up in Instagram, you can toggle at the top to show only your starred favorite accounts. So I can turn my Instagram feed into only food.
That's so smart. I did not know that you could do that. I think you shared that the other day and I was like, brilliant.
So if I clock out on Friday, my business brain is off and I literally switch my feed over to only show me food. And I will scroll recipes like it is my literal purpose on this earth. And I will throw them in folders on a Friday night. When you push that save button, if you hold it down, you can save it into what Instagram calls collections, which are like folders. And I have a chicken folder and a taco folder and a pizza folder and a snack folder and a dessert folder. And that's my Friday night. Like, that's how I pivot into the week. And then Saturday morning, I shop my collections until my meal plan is done. So I pick out a pizza themed recipe. I put the ingredients in my Instacart and I airplane it to stories. I pick a snack I put the ingredients in my Instagram, and I airplane it to stories. And then other people wake up on Saturday morning and they're like, bless you, I'm making a shopping list from whatever you got started. And I'm so glad that it's helpful for them. And we love to chat about it. But I have my okay, I need this many meals. I need this many breakfasts. We need 2
Yeah.
snacks. And at the end, what I do is I text my husband and I say, I'm ready for Instacart basics. And he looks like, what are we out of? Like ketchup and flour and things he wants to have to make lunches or whatever. And I just add those to the cart and place the order.
That is so smart. Yeah.
It's like that mix of I'm getting my self-care. I'm
Yeah.
already on Instagram scrolling, so we might as well go with the tide, right?
Yeah.
Rather than trying to pull myself off Instagram to do something productive, I might as well do it on the Instagram. I will say we're not a cooking for an army house, but we don't do a lot of takeout and restaurants and stuff in the regular week. But I will outsource the heck out of a special meal. So like we have a local bakery, and if we are home for Thanksgiving and not dining somewhere else, we have a place that you can order everything but the turkey. And so I just get the turkey, and then each of my kids pick out one side dish that they actually care about, because they don't care about all these other things that you're like juggling and making.
Yeah.
They each pick out one side dish, and then we make 2 side dishes and a turkey, which is really no more work than a regular dinner. And then on
Yeah.
the last day, we just drive to the little place and we pick up all the rest of the food and we put it in our fridge. And that's Thanksgiving to me. Like,
Yeah.
I am not afraid to outsource for a holiday. And I don't think it makes it feel less special to my family or my kids or whatever. It means that mom's not in the kitchen all day and we get to spend Thanksgiving together. So I will pay on a special day. I don't do a lot of takeout in restaurants when it's not like, but if it's a cooking for an army or a birthday party or an event that I actually want to enjoy, your girl will outsource the heck out of that.
What about what do you do for holiday shopping for like my own family? I feel like doesn't stress me out as much. And I feel like you and I talked about this once in the DMs at one point in time. But like, do you have any useful like hacks, favorite places, if you do any like team appreciation or client gifts? I think we talked about this and you said you do it throughout the whole year, but remind me if that's real or if I made that up.
It is real for sure.
Okay.
It can happen in the DMs. That's where all the good conversations happen, right? I think that you have to have a decide once. That's like the Kendra Adachi lazy genius about client gifts. And so everyone else is already getting showered with gifts in December. I don't feel like a client gift in December is that special. I don't know.
That was you.
I'd rather send them a gift in that stressful week they just got back from the TBT conference and they're overwhelmed with shiny ideas. I'd rather really think about when do they need this gift the most? When do they need the boost the most? And I think you have to set that out when you look at your services that you offer and the people you work with. Are you a birthday celebrator? Is that important? Are you a milestone celebrator? Like for my podcast clients, whether they started with me or not, I want to notice when their show turns 1 year old because so many podcasts die before they make it to that milestone. And so I just take the address that's on their contract that we all have for taxes, and I have a gift that I mail to their house. And that is the time where a podcaster is usually getting weary.
Yeah.
And they are usually so grateful to get some physical something where someone sees all the hard work they've done speaking into the black hole of podcasting. And so are you a birthday celebrator? Or is it the milestones? Is it the checkpoint in a project, right? Is it after we complete this step, I send you a DoorDash gift card because we've probably been talking around the clock and I've probably stolen you from dinner from your family more than once. So maybe it's time for dinner to be on me. And I just really try to think about like where that person is in. But for me, I'll just feel like people are gifted out in December. They just want to get through December. They don't want another thing. But the rest of the year, I bet you can identify a time where it would be more impactful and it would mean more to.
I actually really
bet
like
that'd be
that.
right.
I feel like you're right on the money with that. I agree. Like we really do. And it is common. It's not that I don't know. And especially with client work, like you're trying to obviously thank someone for working with you, but like you do kind of want to remind them like, hey, I'm here, like I'm here to help you and I want to be there. But it's when it gets lost in all the other things of like the 1,000,001 people they already have to thank for gifts and the 1,000,001 items on their to-do list, it's a little bit harder to make that like impression to be like, hey, remember me? I'm here
And
to
I don't
support you.
think it's an expectation at that time of year. Like if your mom didn't get you a Christmas gift, that would be weird.
Yeah.
If your insert service business relationship here didn't send you a Christmas gift, I don't think you're going to like be up all night on the 25th being like, it
No.
was so weird. I don't think Melanie sent me a gift today. Like that just wouldn't happen. So I think
Yeah.
it's something, it's not a glass ball for me. You can take it off your list in December and reallocate some of your money and time and brain space into the things that are actual glass balls. Like I have to get the presents for my girls on the money.
Well, Janice, you are so full of wisdom. It has been so nice chatting with you. If people want to talk with you in the DMs or find more about how you can help them, where do you like to hang out on the internet?
On the internet, yes. As Melanie and Branda have both mentioned, all the deep, dark secrets of business that we talk about, they all happen in the Instagram DMs. So I am not someone trying to cut back on my Instagram screen time, and I probably never will. I think that's where all the magic happens. So I am teacher Janice VA, and I'm sure it'll be in the magic show notes
It will.
on Instagram. And you can literally just slide in my DMs and start talking business. It doesn't have to be weird. You can just be like, oh my goodness, if I don't get my client work out the door by Christmas morning, I'm going to cry in my Cheerios. And I'll be like, same, let's talk about it. It is a totally no shame zone. If you are in a roadblock and crying in your Cheerios, we've probably been there too. And all of these systems that are shared in this amazing chaos space, they're because we've fallen in potholes before or we've helped people climb out of them. And so there's no shame in any of these things. We've all had a holiday shopping season that we didn't get right. We've all had a holiday meal that didn't get right. We've all felt chained to our computer as a business owner and been like, I really want to be present next time. Like how did I get here and how can I make next year better? And
Yeah.
a few years ago when I started, I used to have to really work on the holidays. Maybe I could take Christmas morning off, but I had to log in at night, so I would tuck my kids in for a Christmas movie, give them some popcorn and be like, I have to go work for 2 hours because that was how I made the math in that season. And it was
Yeah.
okay, but I didn't like it and
Yeah.
it didn't feel right. And so you lean into those feels this holiday season, that what feels out of alignment, it's okay to sit in your feels a little bit and slide into someone's DMs and be like, I didn't get this right this year. And you can use that energy to make a better plan for next year.
I love that. We didn't talk about hiring on this episode, but Janice also has a really great lead magnet about hiring. You should definitely go and download that. And kind of beyond just hiring in the lead magnet, she talks about like what systems that you would need to have set up before you actually do hire someone. So again, even if you're just wanting some assistance with systems, that's a great freebie to download and they'll be able to grab that from the show notes.
Yeah, maybe you need to hire out in your business. Maybe you just need permission to order your Thanksgiving meal somewhere else.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to be a grocery pickup girly. Even if you don't think it's time for you to hire, you have no money in your business. It's not the time. There's a lot of free strategies in there too, because you might actually not need to hire yet. But I really intended for there to be something in that guide that's good news for everyone at any stage of business.
Well, thanks for joining us. This has been such a great conversation. Thanks so much for joining our conversation today. If you enjoyed this episode, please head to your listening app and leave a quick rating and review.
If you're on Instagram, share this episode and tag us at Duxbury Digital and at The Relevant Collective. We'd love to hear from you. We'll meet you back here next Tuesday for more practical strategies to take your business from chaos to conversions.